warm welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18-hour special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. On the show today, we are answering your calls as well as your social media queries related to different aspects of your business. And to answer those queries in the studio today, I have two experts. Let me start by introducing the gentleman. I have Gopal Krishan Kansal. He's the Chief General Manager of the SME business as SBI. I also have Vikram Gupta. He's the founder of IV Cap Ventures. Thank you both very much for being with us here tonight. So let's then kick the show off by bringing in your queries. And the first one is a Facebook query coming to us from PP Bhakta. He says, how do you go about marketing of the business? He's in the business of industrial safety hand gloves. He says what measures he needs to take in order to ensure profits. He says he banks with some large public as well as private sector banks and requires a business loan for his unit. Wants to know what procedure he needs to follow in order to get a significant amount of loan sanctioned.
I think the first question that he's asking, Mr. Bhakta is asking, is about marketing. And I think this is a very specialized product and it's actually a B2B product, and his customer segments seem to be very clearly defined. So therefore, I think the marketing efforts also have to be very specific and very targeted. So there are various options. One is, of course, he has to analyze the market himself and look at what are his customer segments and how he can really go after those segments using either distributors or maybe doing direct marketing to them. The other option these days, of course, there are lots of online opportunities to market your products like these. For example, there are industry product selling websites like Tolexo and Industry Buying, where they can actually list their product and do marketing to their targeted customers. And the second part of the question is around profitability. Now, profitability is a function of revenues and costs. And of course, as far as the revenues are concerned, it's linked to the branding and the volumes and the pricing. And I think they have to differentiate themselves in terms of their product. So is there a way to really position themselves differently in terms of the quality of product, in terms of the material they use, therefore can they get a premium pricing. Then on the cost side, can they use better technologies to reduce their cost? Can they come up with more efficient processes? So I think there are various combinations that people use that can be leveraged. Now these days, lots of new technologies are coming, to do that. As far as the loans are concerned, of course, my colleague here will be able to answer much better.
Sure. It depends what exactly he is trying to get loan for. Is it, as he said, technology upgradation? We would love to, any bank would love to finance for technology upgradation, because that helps the SME clients to grow faster and grow into the latest market. So in terms of any machinery, banks do provide term loans, where it's linked to the invoice, what is the cost of the machine he wants to add. And if he is looking at the working capital, of course, working capital finance is available on a balance sheet method. One is where he can provide the audited balance sheet of March 16 and then take it forward. In terms of State Bank of India, we do have a differentiation in terms of the value of the connection. We have a concept of relationship managers. If the requirement is beyond 5 crores, we have one exclusive officer who deals with. It's one-to-one relationship with the SME client. He doesn't have to run around to different places. So the idea is to provide end-to-end solution. Then again, we have a smaller version also. If the requirement is 50 lakhs to 5 crore, we have a relationship manager, small enterprise, because that follow in that category. So again, it's a one-to-one relationship. So we have around 500 SME center branches across the country, which are only dealing with SME clients. So any of these branches, if he approaches, will definitely be able to help him.
Okay, Mr. Bhakta, I hope that answers your query in terms of both marketing of your business as well as raising of loans. Let's take in our next query. That question coming in from Digambar. Essentially, we understand that he's in the business of new technologies. He's saying that they have been introduced in the market for additional automation, and he works, of course, in the business of mechanical press. So essentially for a manufacturing unit. Let's broad base the question a little bit and try to understand in terms of keeping oneself updated about the newer technologies that come out in the market, and particularly for the manufacturing space, where the government, I know, is actively encouraging them to start using more and more technology? How do they go about keeping themselves updated?
So, yeah, I think this is very important also in today's world. You have to really keep yourself abreast of the latest technology developments, because technology gets obsolete very fast and you have to make sure that you are up to date with what's happening. I would say that one has to look at three main areas. So, one is you have to keep abreast with the latest international journals in specific technologies. For example, in his case, they're talking about mechanical press. I'm sure there are very specific journals which cover mechanical presses technology, so one has to keep track of that. Second is that if you look at the educational institutions of India like IITs specifically, and also the incubation centers which are coming up and set up by the government as well. Lots of new technologies and new innovations are happening across these education institutions and incubation centers. So, one needs to really understand what's happening there. So, these days a lot of information is available regarding what's happening in these incubation centers. And third is something which is a little bit interesting, is one can actually look at patent databases. So if you look at the patent, access to patent databases is available, and one can just use the keywords, specific keywords for their technology, and identify what are the patents which have been filed by others in those technology areas, and using that they can actually look at what's happening. So whatever patents have been filed very recently, those are the technologies which have come up very recently.
Let's take in the next query. This is also a call. It's coming in from Om Prakash Soni. Go ahead, Om Prakash.
Okay, I want to know, I am exporter of textile home furnishing items, and I have the handwork, mainly handwork. So the labor is not experienced, but they are experienced and near about holidays, Deepavali holidays or weekend, they don't do the work. So this is interrupt in the production. We could not get the lot of product from them. So how can we solve this problem? Can we get any machine? Can we innovate some machine so the production can be done fastly?
All right, Prakash, thanks for that question. So, he essentially wants to know about automating the entire business, and he's in the textile space. Maybe again, I'd like to start with you, Vikram.
So, of course, as I said, there are lots of new technologies coming up these days, but I think some of these businesses do require manual work as well. So, I think my suggestion would be to really break up the process into multiple parts, and there is always an opportunity to outsource part of the processes to somebody who can do it better. Because the challenge really is, how do you bring down the cost, how do you improve the process efficiency, and how do you automate to do things faster. So, I would say that there is an opportunity to break down the process into multiple stages, outsource those the parts which others can do better, and retain those things that you are good at.
What do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just add, I believe Government of India has launched some textile upgradation fund around 6,000 crores recently. So probably Mr. Om Prakash Soni can also look at that option, whether his unit would be able to get some funding from the government for upgradation of his machinery. And yeah.
Let's take in the next query, and this is an email coming to us from MD Vijay Kumar. He says he's in the plastics business and wants to expand it pan-India. We understand that he wants to start his business from Karnataka, wants to know how to further his business, what are the specific steps he needs to take in order to expand his business.
Again, it's a B2B business, and I would say that rather than thinking pan-India on day one, one has to really prioritize, and in order to prioritize, you have to really look at the concentration of your customers. So therefore, you have to really focus on those geographies first, where you have a higher concentration of your customers. And once you start with that and you are profitable in those areas, then you scale up to other geographies. So that's my suggestion on the pan-India strategy. On the Karnataka business side, in fact, I would say that Karnataka government is one of the most progressive in terms of encouraging startups and businesses like these. including setting up of a fund which actually is available for startups. So I would say that those benefits should be leveraged, and we should identify the right location and availability of labor and other strategic benefits of the location, and accordingly the business should be set up from there.
Yeah, I would just add what Mr. Gupta has mentioned, going pan-India. It has its own risks going pan-India. Probably what he has to look at is there would be similar kind of units across the country, whether he will be able to compete with those units. If he is trying, let us say, from Karnataka to Delhi, his cost would be added, transportation cost would be added, whether he would be able to compete. And even if he tries to reduce his margin, whether at the end of the day he will end up losing some money. So, going pan-India aspiration is very good, but one has to be very careful when we expand pan-India. There are issues relating to payment system, whether he will be able to recover his receivables quickly from other parts of the country. It requires lots and lots of effort and knowledge. So, ideally what Mr. Gupta has suggested, I would go with his advice. He should tread cautiously in terms of expanding pan-India.
Let's take in the next query. This is an email coming to us from Suresh Narode. He says he's a small tea supplier and wants to know how he can expand his business. So this is pretty much building on the previous question that we had seen in terms of expansion plans. But he is in the small tea business.
Yes.
And as part of the FMCG business, there's such cutthroat competition in that space. What advice would you have?
It seems to be small tea supplier means he is working from a small area, either in a semi-urban area or where he is trying to expand business, whether he is still looking at a particular brand, or whether he is looking at if he is a dealer for a particular brand, whether he would expand, add more dealers, his locations. We have actually a unique product for the dealers, particularly distributors and dealers, which is at a very, very low price in terms of the market vis-a-vis market, around 9.5 or 9.6%, which is music to any SME client. So, if he is looking at to expand and adding some dealership, he has, I am assuming, a dealership of some of the big corporates. So, probably that will help him, and expanding again, tea is something which is consumer product. So, as the market is accepted, I mean, he can go expansion in the same area, he can go expansion in the nearby areas. So, bank would be there to support him definitely.
Sounds like Mr. Suresh, I think he is talking about sourcing tea and then supplying to B2B again business customers. So, from his perspective, I would say that again he needs to very clearly define his target market and see whether he can create a brand of his own, because that's the only way you will differentiate yourself. Otherwise, it's a commodity, and unless you create a differentiation, it will become very, very difficult to really get the pricing that you want. And I would say that given the way the market is going, you should also look for avenues to sell online, because a lot of opportunities are coming there as well.
Okay. So, Suresh, ensure that you create a differentiator for yourself and definitely look at the online space, and the banks are saying they're more than willing to fund you in this expansion journey. Let's take a quick break on this note. We'll come back with more of your queries, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and we're taking in all your queries both over call as well as social media. In fact, the next query is a call coming to us from Anirudh. Go ahead, Anirudh.
We are facing challenges during recruitment for technology selling portfolio, predominantly around the pre-sales solution architects and hardcore sales, which are the field sales people. The challenges we are facing is around finding the right talent and also retaining talent, because there is also a lack of depth of the technology understanding. At the same time, people are jumping, the generation that is now is jumping jobs pretty often. So So I think from a growth perspective, our major challenge is recruitment and how to retain the talent and how to attract the talent. That's probably a question that we want to know is for how do we do the scale up in an environment like this with recruitment challenges.
So I would say the technology areas that he's talking about, that area is really hot in demand these days, with lots of startups setting up on the base of technology. So it is a genuine problem. So the problem is only increasing with the very highly specialized requirement for technology. There are obviously various ways to solve this problem. One way to address this is, identify those core areas of technology which really is important to you. And for those areas and the people that you identify, you have to really incentivize them in such a way that they feel part of the business. And the way to do that is you provide ESOPs, and also incentivize them in terms of growth of the business in many other ways, like give them bonuses linked to the performance. And I think the other way to solve this problem is now there are new startups which are also coming up, which are actually providing these kind of resources, highly specialized resources on an outsourcing model basis, especially the kind of resources he's talking about. There are startups which are there providing these resources for the multiple such companies. So I think that can also be explored.
Okay, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so just one point which comes to my mind immediately is, can we actually customize the employee's requirement also? For example, I always give is the women requirement. They may not be able to come on a specific time. Can it be work from home? Can we do that kind of facility available to the right now workforce? If we look at in India, it is hardly 20% women. If we start looking at that as a main workforce and then customize our services also accordingly, probably retention becomes easier.
All right, let's take our next query, and this is something that's coming to us on Facebook from Mahindra Narva. He says, due to an increase in the number of taxes in India, he wants to know what measures that he will really need to in case he wants to increase or expand his business.
Unfortunately, we cannot escape taxes. I think you can only optimize on them, right? So that's what you can do. And I would say that in fact, many businesses try to really somehow cut corners here and there just to save on taxes. And I would say that one should be very transparent as far as taxes are concerned, because if you have to think from a long-term perspective, you have to be very, very clean and very clear in terms of your taxation things. I would say that on top of that, what you need to do is make sure that you are aware of various tax benefits which are available, because many times you are not even aware what's happening. For example, if you're a startup, there are 3-year tax holiday which is now available as per the new guidelines from the Startup Stand Up India. Similarly, if you're in a particular geography or if you're in a particular sector, again there are tax benefits available. So one needs to really make sure that they are fully aware. So you need to talk to the right advisors, right tax consultants to make sure that you fully optimize on all the options which are available.
Sure.
I would strongly say that the focus should be growth in business. Taxes is part of the life. Taxes doesn't hamper your growth. So focus on the business rather than just cutting corners, as Mr. Gupta mentioned, because that will give you a lot of other benefits. When your balance sheet is good, banks are ready to reduce your pricing. I can double rated, probably I can give them 9.5, 9.6. If it's lower rated, they end up paying more interest. So focus should be more on the business rather than on the taxes.
All right. Mahindra, that's in response to your query, and let's take in our next query, and this is in fact a continuation of what Mahindra was asking us, but this is an email coming to us from Amrish Kumar. He's written in to us saying, what are government SOPs and tax benefits if we apply and begin operations under the Startup India initiative? Will Government of India offer any preferential status and as well as provide relaxation in tender specifications and bidder qualifying criteria to companies manufacturing locally, as we will be competing with global OEMs like HP, Dell, IBM, etc. So again, very interesting question. We don't see this often enough in terms of two part. One, what are the benefits available, and two, how do they compete?
So if one reads this entire policies that will come around the Startup India, I think there are about 19 points there which actually talk about how the startups can benefit. And I think part of that also talk about tax benefits. For example, I was talking about a 3-year tax holiday for startups. There are other indirect benefits. For example, when you are raising money from a venture capital or an angel investor, there are tax benefits available to the investors to invest in startups. So of course, the opportunities for startups, and of course there are lots of other points related to single window clearance of things and self-compliance and lots of other things which are there in the entire policy. But I think the other point of competing with these large players and whether the government is providing any specific SOPs, I would say that there are certain departments in the government that have actually started looking very favorably assigning contracts to startups as compared to larger businesses. So things have started happening. I think they will take time, but I would say the mindset is towards encouraging more startups and more SMEs, so because they add a lot more jobs in the economy.
Sure. Before I come to you, sir, I just want to extend that point. In terms of going about educating themselves, because we're talking about, say, for example, financial education that the banks will look after. But in terms of educating themselves, a lot of people write into us saying, where do we find this on, the Startup India campaign? Under the Startup India campaign, where do we apply for this? Or, under the Make in India, where do we apply for something else? Or how do we find out whether, we are eligible for certain criteria? Is there a one-stop shop in terms of having a mentor, someone to walk you through these things?
So DIPP has on their own website, for example, listed all the benefits which are available, right? So and very specific places where you can go to. In addition, there are lots of private initiatives, including our own initiative, which is IV Camp. There's a platform which actually provides a lot of education to these startups and also provide mentors. In fact, we work through the alumni ecosystem of the IITs and the IIMs. We have almost about 5,000 mentors on our platform, which actually startups are already leveraging. So such platforms are now available for these startups and working very well actually.
Okay. So would you want to add to that?
The issue is not SOPs. Issue is the business. You look at the Flipkarts and Snapdeals. Did they look for the SOPs when they started the business? They've grown up. They can compete with the Amazon also now. So instead of looking at SOPs and taxes and other benefits, let us focus on the business part of it. I am sure there is a plenty of opportunities to grow in any business.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much, both of you, for being with us here tonight and running our viewers through all of those queries that have come in. Do remember that you can write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT or call us on that number which is on your screen if you have any questions for our experts. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.